This is a book called um, Dress Selection and Design. So, okay, the writer is Hillhouse Macmillan. I don't know if that's the writer. Hold on. Marion Hillhouse. As a professor from Michigan State University. It's printed in Macmillan Company, New York, in '63. But I found the content of it very good, I think. The purpose is to explain the principles of art, their application to clothing selection, and their influence on buying and making clothes at any economic level. The book is the outgrowth of many years of experience in teaching clothing selection and costume design at Michigan State University. And is that a statue? And owes much to books dealing with these aspects of clothing, to teaching associates and students who contributed, however unwittingly, to the ideas expressed. Dress Selection and Design is intended primarily as a text for an introductory college clothing course in home economics, which will develop in the students an understanding of our own clothing selection problems as well as the problems of others. It was also written to serve students majoring in other fields as well as women who are interested in improving their taste and acquiring style. Chapter 4 was planned primarily to suit the organization of a costume design course, or a course combining selection and design. Throughout the book, the complexities of line design, texture, color, are explained simply and non-technically as possible so that any careful reader may grasp the subject matter without a preliminary art course. Since sketches linger in memory longer than words, chapters dealing with line design are illustrated profusely with drawings to clarify each point. Although costumes like architecture are certain to reflect their time, classic designs that enhance the natural figure are used rather than the latest fashions, which are liable to distort the figure and quickly become passé. The texture and color chapters were far more difficult to illustrate effectively. Texture photographs, no matter how clear, are a poor substitute for fabrics. I'm convinced that every laboratory or classroom could contain fabric of various structures so that students may study and handle them to discover differences in surface appearance and draping quality. Remnants and large swatches collected gradually will supplement the text at a modest cost. Color plates frequently interpret colors inaccurately and increase the cost of the text excessively. Color photographs clipped from fashion magazines, fine color prints from museums, and art books and sets of colored fabrics and matte papers are readily available to establish the meaning of word pictures. College introductory clothing courses may devote an entire term to the art of clothing selection, thus allowing the student time to assimilate principles and practice their application, whereas some beginning clothing courses combine selection with construction, consumer buying, information, or even the study of textile fibers, weaves, and finishes. To serve such integrated courses, the teacher and student have no alternative but to choose from this text those chapters which are pertinent, recognizing the danger of passing over complex art principles hurriedly and superficially. Time to absorb the reading and opportunity to learn for oneself by experiment reduces the chance of misinterpreting principles. Wish to express appreciation to the students of costume design at Michigan State University, who originated many of the designs shown in Chapter 4, to Mabel Cooper and Barbara Spilker Stow of the Textiles, Clothing, and Related Arts Department at Michigan State University, For the constructive criticism of the chapter on costume texture to Zelma Bundier and Gladys Pfeiffer for so graciously permitting me to use several fine photographs from their book, America's Fabrics, to Dr. Janet Wessel, Professor of Health, Physical Education, and Recreation at MSU, for allowing me to observe her class in body mechanics, and to the publishing companies who granted permission to use copyrighted material. I'm especially indebted to Elizabeth Hill, Department Secretary, for patiently and accurately typed manuscript, to Evelyn Maxwell, formerly Associate Professor of Textiles, Clothing, Related Arts at MSU, for her encouragement and for her careful reading and valuable criticism of the manuscript, and to Shirley Hillhouse, Advertising Illustrator at Celine's, Worcester, Massachusetts, for school, for a skillful and artistic rendering of the rough drawings, and for her many charming original sketches. So this has 12 sections. Underneath it all, silhouette, structure makes the shape, design your own clothes, individuality in dress, base framing details, pattern, costume textures, introduction to color, color harmony, choosing becoming colors, more style than money. Introduction. Why study the application of art principles to dress selection? There are two advantages, one personal, the other professional. The first applies to all students who wish to improve their taste in selecting clothing that are suitable and flattering at reasonable expense. Their mastery of these art principles will serve them and their families throughout their lives. The second advantage applies to those who will use the subject matter either as home economics teacher or in fashion-related careers. Principles of selection are at the heart of courses in clothing construction, textiles, and costume design. Discrimination in line design developed more tackling clothing construction is essential. Before tackling clothing construction is essential to the production of better designed, more individual garments, and prevents the deterioration of construction into little more than practicing sewing skills. To choose clothing appropriate for a specific purpose, a feeling for the texture, surface appearance, and performance of fabrics must be developed. Learning to choose and combine colors artistically and becomingly is fundamental to the wise selection of ready-wear clothing or dress fabrics. From a broader view, studying art and dress also deepens an appreciation of all visual arts. Fine and applied arts are more readily comprehended when art principles are applied initially to the more familiar problems of dress. Aesthetics alone do not influence clothing choices. Social approval is very strong, particularly among teenagers. How many freshmen are courageous enough to defy campus fad even when they would prefer to express individuality in their dress? Sloppy Joe sweaters, Levi's too tight for comfort, leotards, dirndl skirts, and sneakers come and go. Fads should never be taken too seriously and should be recognized for what they are, momentary whims. Precious few ever earn the appellation classic. Conformity, of course, is not always undesirable. Some is necessary to win acceptance and avoid conspicuousness. That means to stand out. A student with a discerning eye can adapt even an unreasonable fad to her own style. If it is not becoming, she can ignore it and still be in tune with her set. Cost is also a determining factor. The clothing dollar must be extended to include a wardrobe adequate for all occasions, yet not overstuffed with clothes worn infrequently. Economy relies heavily on aesthetic values, since the wardrobe carefully coordinates in line, texture, and color, may be smaller, look better, and prove more useful than a larger, more expensive, but heterogeneous one. So coordinate the wardrobe in texture, color, line, says, the meaning of style. Understanding the roles of aesthetic, social, and economic forces leads to an appreciation of the meaning of style in dress. Style is not synonymous with fashion. The two words can never be used interchangeably. For you can have style without being strictly in fashion, and conversely, you can be the last word without having an ounce of that rare quality known as style. America today abounds in fashion from $5.95 to $595. The field is rich, but style cannot be bought over a counter. One has only to cast a gimlet eye over any throng in any nightclub or any country club, looking not at the dresses, which are the almost universally pretty, but at the women themselves. Without calling in Mr. Gallup, you can make your own poll. 1 out of 500 wears her clothes as if they belonged to her and only to her. The other 499 are imitations of each other. Style in dress means recognizing with equal objectiveness, without vanity and without depression, your good points and your bad points, and then making the most out of the good ones. It means taking the trouble with the fit of everything that you wear, adjusting a shoulder line, lowering a belt until the dress becomes a part of you. It means frequent seances before a full-length triple mirror until you see yourself as you really are, not just as a close-up. Style is essentially a matter of proportion, the selecting of fashion for your personal architecture, without too many winged buttresses and with the column of your torso in correct relation to the size of your head and the length of your legs. The long mirror reveals that your coat is not balanced to the length of the skirt, that your jacket stops short and cuts your line, that your neck completely disappears in that fluffy fur collar or in the masses of your hair. A hat that is madly becoming when you're seated at a table in a hat shop, smiling your mirror smile, becomes quite different when seen from the far end of the milliner's shop. The era of the master designer who devoted hours to a few rich clients is at a wane. Today, faced with the dazzlement of mass production, it's the woman herself who must determine her own style and assert it in her selection. And that means the courage to refuse to buy the thing you adore but know is foreign to you, and to say in the face of those honeyed words, "This is what is being worn this year. Yes, but that's not for me." A successful businesswoman once remarked that she'd learned in college what years later of experience with clothes taught her. She would have shown better taste at crucial times and would have avoided costly aesthetic, social, and economic blunders. Learning to wear clothes well by trial and error is at best costly and slow. At worst, it results in an endless repetition of errors, not an improvement. Okay. The ability to analyze clothes with a sharp eye, to dissect a particular fashion with an open mind, and to discard preconceived notions and prejudices is the first step toward acquiring style. The following chapter treat line, form, texture, color, wardrobe assembling separately and in detail in order that a student may know and come to know the meaning of style in dress. It says Style versus Fashion, Harper's Bazaar, November 41, is a quote. This is what is being worn this year, yes, but it's not for me. That's the quote. So, says 3 romantic fashion periods that emphasized sumptuous fabrics and elaborate detail. Although charming in retrospect, each concealed and distorted body proportions. I imagine it would take such a long time to get into these get-ups. By the time you put all this on, is it worth coming out of the house? Let me see. A is showing an Elizabethan, from the Elizabethan time period. This is 1865. B. And then this is turn of the century. So the dresses are getting less elaborate, but yeah. Underneath it all, I think we're gonna pause and start the chapter in the next part. Thank you guys. My page is facebook.com, Yosalplay, YOSALLPLAY. Bye.